welcome back to another episode of Chronicles of War. I'm Alex, and second time attempting to record this episode because the last one stopped recording midway through and got messed up. But anyway, that's besides the point. This episode it's a bit of a special one. It is a bit of a themed episode because if I'm doing mathing right, this Friday is June 6th. Which historically, if you know military history, or just history in general, I guess, June 6th is D-Day. Well, what everyone widely recognizes as D-Day because D-Day technically just means it's a landing. So, technically speaking, during World War II, there was a lot of D-Days, especially in the Pacific Theater, but this is the big D-Day everyone always talks about. June 6th, 1944. Now, most of the time when you bring up D-Day, people think, oh, hey, it's probably talking about the landings at the beaches at Normandy, Those beaches, Sword, Juno, Utah, Gold, and Omaha. Those beaches. That's what you're talking about when you mean D-Day, right? It's like, yes, that is a big part of D-Day. But there's also, the airborne invasion of D-Day. The airborne invasion that happened behind the beaches. But that's not what we're here to talk about. It's neither of those events. I'm here to talk about it is a landing, yes, but not exactly at a beach. Like, there is a beach involved, but we're not going for the beach. I'm here to tell you the story of the landing at Pointe du Hoc. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I don't know. It's French. I'm not. Nor do I speak it. But so a bit of an overview of Pointe du Hoc. Like I said, it's not your typical landing. That's because this is a 110-foot tall cliff. That's right. Pointe du Hoc is a cliff that is 110 feet tall. Now, it is close to the beaches because it is 4 miles west of Omaha Beach. Now, originally when Germany captured France and whatnot, they had, 6 French 155 millimeter guns there. Thing is, these guns are from World War I, so they're old. But, Germany's not too worried at this point in time, so that's good enough. So it's manned by the 2nd Battery of the Army Coastal Artillery Battalion 1260, as well as the 352nd Infantry Division, who are there to, help defend it and whatnot. Now, spring in 1944, Germany's worried now because, America's involved and whatnot. They know the Allies are going to invade France at some point along that western coast somewhere. They don't know where exactly. So, what they do is they replace all those World War I 155 millimeter guns with newer ones. And then they put them in concrete casemates. Casemate, for as you don't know, basically, if you've ever seen any sort of like game or film where it involves the landings on D-Day, those bunkers the Germans are in, those are casemates. So yeah, those that's what casemates look like. Now, they've got they have a total of plan of there. 6 of these bunkers are planned. However, at the time of June 6th, all but 2 are finished. So there's 4 fully done casemates. And There's also an observation bunker there, as well as mounts for some 20mm flat guns, which, as I mentioned in previous episodes, if I remember correctly, are anti-aircraft guns. So, here's the Allies' plan, specifically America's. I mean, the British are involved as well. I mean, getting us are also involved, but America's the one doing this attack, doing the execution of this. Got the 2nd and 5th Ranger Battalions. They are commanded by Colonel James Earl Rudder. Their plan is to land at the foot of the cliff, ascend via ropes, ladders, and grappling hooks, and destroy the guns in the casemates. Seems simple enough, in theory, anyway. So, come to June 6th. So, our troops are in a total of 10 landing craft. There's another 2 landing craft that have supplies, as well as 4 amphibious trucks that have 100-foot ladders in them. Now, that's what they're starting out with. However, one of the LCs, or landing craft, abbreviation of landing craft, is LCs. One LC gets sunk, and then another one gets swamped. So that means we're down to 8 landing craft. One of our supply craft also sinks, and then the second one, the supplies get thrown overboard so that it doesn't sink. So there goes the supplies, the extra supplies. And then one amphibious truck sinks, so there goes some of the ladders. Now all this has caused a 40-minute delay in them landing at the beach there. So, which, this 40-minute delay is going to cause some problems later, kinda. We'll get back to that. We'll get to that soon. But at 7:10 a.m., they finally make it to the beach with half the original force. So, the LCs launch grappling hooks and ropes up the cliff, because they've got launchers specifically made to do that. Ladders are useless because, as I previously said, this is a 110-foot cliff. Their ladders are only 100 foot tall. They're 10 feet too short. So, Rangers ascend the cliff and they get there. Now, here's where that 40-minute delay comes in to be a kind of a problem. So, the 5th Ranger Battalion and then 2 more companies from the 2nd Ranger Battalion are supposed to join them at this point as backup. They're supposed to come in as a second wave, because this is currently only a couple companies from the 2nd Ranger Battalion. But because of said 40-minute delay, the signal's too late, so those troops have already been sent to Omaha Beach. Now, this is actually both a good thing and a bad thing, because on the bad part is the Rangers at Pointe du Hoc no longer have their reinforcements coming, so they're stuck with what they got. However, on the plus side, when the Rangers get to Omaha Beach, they are a key effort in the fact that the beach is able to be successfully taken. Without the Rangers, it is possible that Omaha Beach would not have been successfully taken, as it was as we know it. So, anyway, back to the main group of Rangers. So, they're at the top of the cliff there now. They took 15 casualties on the way up. Would have been more, but the cliffs were also being shelled by American ships in order to provide cover. Now, we come upon a big problem here, because you see, the Rangers' mission here now was to destroy those 155mm guns. Problem is, they're at the top of this cliff. There's no guns. There's just empty casemates. The guns are not there. just at all. No guns, which means, we don't know where they're at. So that's a bit of a problem. But nothing they can really. They're like, well, nothing they can really do about it because while they're also at this location, there's a road, a very key road that they've taken now that will be useful for troops coming from Omaha Beach will be able to use said road. On the other hand, pretty useful for road for the Germans to be able to, use said road because I mean, if troops can get from Omaha Beach on it, they can also get to Omaha Beach. So Rangers set up positions to defend this road. Now, coming up now, though, we get to the reason I actually made this episode to begin with. Or, well, chose Pointe du Hoc as the theme for this episode because I was going to make a D-Day episode anyway. But specifically, the reason I made Pointe du Hoc the choice of topic for this episode is because of our main character here. I'll get more onto how I came about this person at the end of the episode, but our main character we get to now is First Sergeant Leonard Bud Lommel. He is the acting commander of D Company, which is one of the companies of the 2nd Rangers. So after after troops take their positions up and whatnot, Lommel and then Staff Sergeant Jackie Kunn, they head out on patrol to the south because they're following some sunken impressions in the ground. Almost as if something heavy was moved. So they follow these impressions, and lo and behold, what do they find? 5 of the guns. There's just 5 of the guns there hidden under some camouflage netting. And these guns currently are aimed at Utah Beach. And they have the potential to be then moved and aimed at Omaha. Now that's a problem. So Lommel's got 2 thermite grenades on him, so goes to 2 of the guns and uses them on them by jamming them up where the shell would go and then to be fired. Now, for those of you that don't know what thermite is, essentially, what thermite is, it is metallic dust that can get superheated very easily, and it burns really hot, really fast. So those 2 guns immediately become unoperational because they've essentially melted. The parts on the inside have essentially melted from the thermite grenades. Fortunately, Lommel's out of thermite grenades. There's still 3 more guns. So one of them, he just goes, bashes in the gun sight because the gun's not very effective if you can't aim it. Sure, it'll still work, but it's not very useful. So during this, Kunn's covering him while he does this, and he does that, destroys 2 of the guns after he's destroyed the first 2 guns, and then disabled the gun sight on the 3rd. Goes back to the troops, gets some more thermite grenades. Comes back, destroys the remaining guns. Now, I know I'd said there was 6 guns total, but he'd only found 5. Yeah, well, 6th one wasn't a problem because it was under maintenance, so not operational. So Germans took care of that one for us. Well, for him. But, yeah. So, anyway, back to the main events. Overall, until their reinforcements arrived from Omaha Beach, of the 255 Rangers that were atop the cliff, there were 90 left that were not either dead or wounded by the time reinforcements arrived. And this was caused by German counterattacks from the 914th Grenadier Regiment. And but June 8th comes around, and they're finally relieved by the rest of the 2nd Rangers as well as the 5th Ranger Battalion. You know, the Rangers that were originally supposed to go to Pointe du Hoc, but then got diverted to Omaha because of the delay. So they show up along with the 1st Battalion of the 116th Infantry Division and tanks from the 743rd Tank Battalion. That's the story of the landings at Pointe du Hoc. You know, one of the biggest parts of, you know, D-Day's success, in my opinion, because, I mean, those guns would have been a massive problem for troops landing at Omaha and Utah Beach, but with them taken out, they weren't a problem. And then also, you know, the 1.5 Ranger battalions that showed up at Omaha, they played a major success in that beach being taken, which made D-Day actually successful, because the goal of D-Day, you know, is to take all the beaches and be able to gain footholds in France. And they did that. So yeah, that's the story. You know, I know I said that I'd tell you the reason why the whole reason I did Pointe du Hoc for the theme of this episode was because of Lommel. Well, so I learned about Lommel because of there's a YouTuber I watch that does kind of does what I'm doing with this podcast, although goes into way more detail and goes into more depth than I do, because I just give a brief overview of it for the most part in comparison, and he goes more specific. The video that this episode is inspired by was purely about Lommel. Well, I just did Pointe du Hoc as a whole, and then slipped Lommel in because, yeah. So this YouTuber, I'll mention who it is because I'd highly recommend watching him, although his videos do contain swearing. But I would highly recommend watching his videos if you want to, you know, learn more about certain topics in military history. Not all of his videos are military history. Like, some of them are just interesting. Some of them are just interesting history that you've probably not heard about and whatnot. Like, one of his videos is about blowing up a whale. Don't question it. It's like I said, interesting topics. But yeah. But anyway, this YouTuber, he's the Fat Electrician. I think he's an amazing YouTuber, and I personally love his videos. They've actually inspired several of these episodes, because a couple of these episodes I've done have been because of things I've learned off from his channel that, you know, I decided to go and do them, because a lot of people definitely don't know about these, so, you know, might as well give them away to learn more about it. So yeah, should definitely check out his YouTube channel. I highly recommend it. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for listening in. This is like the first episode you're ever listening to of mine. I'd highly recommend going checking out previous episodes and whatnot. Because, you know, there's very interesting stories to learn from those previous episodes. Now, fortunately, I think some of them might be not listenable to. I don't really know which ones it is, and I've been a bit busy, so I don't fully know which ones aren't fully able to be listened to at all. But anyway, with that as well, you know, if you want to, you know, know when I upload videos, not videos, episodes. If you want to know when I upload episodes, then I'd recommend following the official Chronicles of War Twitter account. It's at capital C Chronicles capital OFF 44. I post updates on like, hey, videos canceled this week or videos delayed. Not video, episode. Episodes canceled, episodes delayed. Things like that. Also on there, if you reply to my look at my pinned comment, I'm asking for topics that you, the audience, might want me to cover in future episodes. Because I'll be honest, I need a lot of episode ideas. Because I've got some ideas, but I need a lot because this is gonna be going on for a while. Because once classes start back up again in September, I'm planning on going back to my weekly episodes because I've determined that over the summer it'll be bi-weekly episodes. So this week you're gonna get you'll have an episode, but then once this episode releases, you'll have to wait 2 weeks. Yeah, that's how that works. So the 4th, this episode will go up the 4th, theoretically. That means then the 18th will be the next episode after this one, I think, if I'm doing my math right and I don't forget to record it, because I've already actually got the notes for it written, because this episode was actually supposed to have been a completely different topic, but then I realized that the anniversary of D-Day is this week, so I decided to make a D-Day episode because of that. So yeah, there's already another episode already fully planned out, just needs recorded. But anyway, topics you want to cover, they can be anything in military history, go back as far as you want, even, because I've got a very distant future episode planned for I think 11 something. I don't know, it's old is all I know. I don't know the exact year for it. I just know it's a long time ago. But yeah. Thank y'all so much for listening. And make sure you turn in with the next episode and whatnot. So yeah. Also, while I'm thinking, if you know of anyone that has a interest in military history, share the podcast with them. Even if you don't know if they have an interest in military history, they like history in general, share it with them. But yeah, my goal is just to let as many people possible know this information and these stories and whatnot. So yeah, thank you so much for listening in, and see you whenever the next episode comes out. So bye for now.